moment. And for those of you who don't know what a mindful moment is, it's simply a time out for a time in so that you can gather yourself and be really present for the next half hour with us. So you can do this with your eyes open, or you can do it with your eyes closed, or simply gazing toward the ground. And you don't need any special equipment. All you need to do is have the intention to be right here, right now, what you might know as mindfulness. So if you'd like, your breath is always here, your body's always right here. So you can tune in if you'd like to close your eyes or gaze softly to the ground. You can tune in to how you're physically feeling right now. And with each inhale and exhale, invite your body to relax as you become aware of the breath moving in and out of the body. There's nothing special you need to feel. Simply noticing what's here. Perhaps you feel the coolness and freshness of the inhale and the warmth of the exhale. Noticing the way that the breath moves the body. The rise and fall of your chest. The way the shoulders rise and fall with each inhale and exhale. Simply allow yourself to be right here, right now. Though the mind likes to time travel, the body is right here, your life is right here, your breath is right here. So once you feel like you've arrived, I invite you to slowly open your eyes, or if you prefer to keep them closed, that's fine as well. So thank you for joining me. I've been meditating for over 30 years, and I've never set out to teach meditation teachers how to teach. I simply was on a journey to find peace, to help me with my anxiety, to find some more meaning and purpose in my life. And I started out with a whole bunch of different kinds of meditations. I found out about meditation first when I was in the military. I was a behavioral specialist teaching soldiers how to relieve their stress, how to relieve their chronic and or acute stress, which oftentimes led them to be unable to function. My job really was to help them become more comfortable, be able to sleep and relax so they can go back to the front lines. Terrible job, but I learned a lot about the nervous system. I also learned about meditation. There was my lieutenant was he was the lieutenant of our particular platoon, and he had us one day lying on the grass outside of a psychiatric hospital where we were inside treating some soldiers who ended up there. And he said, "Look, we need to take care of ourselves as caregivers." So he had us lying on the grass outside this psychiatric hospital, and he guided each one of us into a very short body awareness practice, similar to what I just did, although we were lying on the ground, surrendering into the gravity and letting the body completely relax. After 10 minutes, it was so remarkable, the contrast between how I was feeling before and then how I felt afterwards, that I think it informed my entire trajectory of the rest of my life. I didn't realize at the time how stressed out I actually was. I knew I had anxiety, I knew I was a little depressed, and I wasn't making great choices. And after that, I realized there was a massive difference between the way I operated in the world and the way I could be. So fast forward to probably about 5 or 6 years later, I ended up meeting a man, or actually reading a book by a man named Deepak Chopra. I ended up getting this book and falling in love with this mind-body health connection, the way in which that he described how the mind affected the body and how to relieve the stress in the nervous system that can lead to disease. He says that the word health came from the word hal, it's a Latin word which means wholeness or holy. And I fell in love with his myriad of approaches of natural healing, which include music therapy, sound therapy, massage therapy, yoga, and herbal therapy, and also meditation. So I wanted everything I read about in that book. I saw the name in the back of the book of who to call and how to get involved, and immediately called it, and then moved into Lancaster, Massachusetts, where I was at an Ayurveda health center. That means the science of life and longevity. Also, it was a transcendental meditation community where I immersed myself into this meditation lifestyle. Fast forward again, after 8 years of working with him, I ended up going to India to find out the roots of Ayurveda and this mind body health. And I was in India living a la eat, pray, love in an ashram with a guru and getting up every morning and chanting and chopping fruit for breakfast. And ended up feeling as if I understood more deeply the practice of meditation and how it became a lifestyle. I know you don't want to probably do that, although it'd be fun for vacation or a retreat. But when I got back from India, I ended up going to live in a Zen Buddhist monastery. You see, I kept looking for the answers to the best meditation out there. I wanted to know what the best kind was. I ended up moving into a monastery and living there for 2 years. Everything was about mindfulness. Back to chopping vegetables. I was the cook there, meditating every day up to 8 hours a day. And I came out of all of that and I felt like obviously I had changed completely. Though I still occasionally have bouts of being nervous. I mean, I'm human. My, I'd have to say my default mode is one of being very present, clear, and in love with my personal practice of meditation. So when I started a meditation center in Sedona, Arizona, it was about 2011. I had just written a book that was published by Hay House, which some of you must know about Louise Hay. I had just written a book based on a study out of Harvard by a woman named Sarah Lazar, who talked about these 8 weeks of meditation practice and how it changes the structure of the brain. Not only does it change the state of how you operate and the more relaxation response that you can access, the ongoing practice of meditation for 8 weeks actually changes some of the way that your brain operates. So you're no longer reactive, you're more responsive, you're much more present, and much more self-aware, emotionally aware. And I wrote this book based on my personal experience and shortened it to 8 weeks because I found out 8 weeks actually does make a huge difference in the structure of the brain and the way we live. So I opened this meditation center in Sedona, Arizona, and have been teaching meditation for many, many years because I taught for Deepak Chopra's center and, of course, at the monastery. And soon my students asked me if they could become a teacher, how I could teach them how to teach. I would send them to the Chopra Center, I'd send them to the Zen Center, I'd send them to India. And then I realized that I actually had what it took to teach teachers. So that was 2012 when the first class graduated. And our class 32 just graduated on Sunday. And up to now, we've had about 400 and something students from all over the world who have taken this program. It's a boutique training. We're not a diploma mill, but I know that some people want to know more about it, which is why we have this webinar. And today I thought I'd introduce you to one of our recent graduates, Danita. Danita's here from Rhode Island, and I would like to turn it over to you, Danita, and maybe you could share what prompted you to take the training. I actually hadn't met Danita, although she said she came to my center. So we weren't friends, we weren't colleagues, we didn't even know each other. And so she found her way to the Meditation Teacher Academy. And Danita, would you like to share a little bit about your experience?
Yes, I would. Um, Thank you, Sarah, for asking me. Well, it's a little bit of a story, so I'll make it short. I was knowing that I needed something else in my life. I had been dancing around and working in the healing arts in all the different ways, Reiki master, teacher, massage therapist, a meditation teacher, so I thought. And I just knew I needed something else to add to my toolbox. And I was collecting certifications. So I tried with and failed 3 times to sign up for a different program. And on the third program, on the third try, when my credit card did not go through for the third time, and I knew the credit card was good, I was like, this is absolutely a sign that I am not meant to do this herbal medicine program that I was signing up for. And my good friend Kathy had told me that she was going to do Sarah's program, and I had known about Sarah's program for years, and always been interested in it. I'd even written a recommendation for another person who went through Sarah's program. And I woke up in the morning with this deep knowing that this is what I was supposed to do. And so I called my friend Kathy and I said, hey, would it be okay if I also applied to this program? And she said, are you kidding me? We could do it together. So I went through the process. I met Sarah for the first time after being in her orbit in Sedona for 8 years that I lived there. And I know Deb. Hi, Deb. Good to see you. Um, and I talked to Sarah and I just had this immediate yes. Little did I know that I had not been teaching meditation with I had been guiding meditations. I had been teaching sensory awareness as part of my theater program. But when I began this teacher program, I knew I wanted to teach it, but I didn't know that it was going to rise to the top of what I really wanted to do. And that was the big surprise in it for me. This has been, and we just graduated last Sunday, and I already have a job. By the way, I got a job yesterday teaching meditation. Um, but this has been the most transformative certification program I have ever done. I changed as a human being for the better. I have access in a new way to my nervous system. Um, and I'm also a restorative and trauma-informed yoga teacher. So I've, I really should already know how to do this. But there was just something so deep and so essential about this program for me that I decided that I wanted to change along with it. And I do think it's a choice. And I do think that at some point, whether I cognitively made that decision to completely immerse myself, at some point I made that choice. Um, and then every month that I went through this program, I could feel more access to myself. I could feel more access to my peace. I could feel that my deep desire for love and peace in the world was becoming so resonant in who I was as a person. So after 9 months, I mean, it was a journey. It was hard. I never ever thought I would quit. I did not. And I talked a few people out of it because when you're changing, it's uncomfortable. And it's that comfortable discomfort that keeps us stuck in those patterns of doing things the same way over and over and over again. And what I decided was that I was getting a master's degree for the cost of a certification program. And I really do feel like I have been through a master's program. And when we went through the intensive, which was the last 10 days of the program with bookend with 2 weekends, I just could not believe the depth that my peers had also reached. I knew they had. It wasn't like it was a surprise to me, but I could not believe the depth of how much we had grown as human beings and how prepared we were to be teachers of meditation. I can say that I am a teacher of about 30 different types of meditation. Will I have to consult my resources? Yes, I will. There are a few I know that I could teach right this minute. Please don't ask me to. But I know that I have the resources, the support, the community that will allow me to step forward into this role. So that's in a very short is it called nutshell?
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Well,
It in
I
a
can
nutshell.
say my greatest joy, and I see a few people on this call here that went through the academy. My greatest joy is to see how people come in. They knew that there was something they wanted to do and they signed up for it. So it's no one's forcing them into it, but to watch them surmounting their self-limiting beliefs and to uncover the beauty of this bright, shiny spirit who is really ready to teach others. I love seeing that being uncovered. That's already in you. And so what Danita's talking about, it's a 9-month program that's called Awaken. And actually, we have some people this time who are wanting to take that part of the program and they have no interest in teaching. So they're doing that. And then sometime during the end of the Awaken program is what's called Become, and that's where you learn some skills to become the teacher. But you can't teach anything you don't know, and also something some people say is if you really want to learn something, learn how to teach it. And so I think some of the surprises that showed up when I asked the last exam, I had a last question that said, what were you surprised about in this program? Of course, you're going to learn to teach meditation. Of course, you're going to learn all about your own meditation. But the big surprise was the community. We're not a diploma mill, as I said before. We really get to know each other. We have we have deep sharing. We're all evolving at the same time. I think we're all supportive of each other's evolution, and we're not all the same. I mean, we have different ways we see the world. We have different religious beliefs, different political leanings. But the one thing we have in common, I think, Danita, and you touched me when you said is this real desire for peace in on the planet and to live this life that's inspired and harmonious and and connected, feeling connected to nature and to people that you haven't even met yet, and having this willingness to serve. Now, some people graduate and never teach. And then all of a sudden, a year, 2 years, 3 years later, they're like, it's time. And so it's not something that we insist upon you do, but it is a beautiful container for your own personal evolution. So the next course starts April 26th, which I'm excited about. And we have about 12 people right now, or maybe it's a little bit more. People are in the midst of applying and getting interviewed, but it's a small group. And your last group, Danita, was 15, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was perfect. And the people and the relationships were truly the heart and soul.
Yeah. And people from all over the world. People from Europe and from the African continent, and of course the Canadians and people from Mexico, and of course Americans. And I'm sitting here. I've left Sedona. I live here in Santa Barbara, California. I was able to do everything now online, so the whole program's virtual, and it is very comprehensive. I mean, you learn so much about the origins of meditation, the applications of meditation, the research studies around meditation, and also, the application of mindfulness, mindful listening, mindful communication, mindful eating, mindful walking, and simply mindful living. And I know you had a question or two for me. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have now.
Well,
What?
sorry.
Don't go ahead.
Do you want me to ask? Because I have a burning question.
Please, please.
So my burning question that I don't know why I didn't ask you this along the way, Sarah, but what was it that actually inspired you to create the program? Like I know that how you came to it, but what was it?
Well, really, it was the students were asking me, can you teach me how you teach? And I had developed it over the many, many years, and of course, the many experiences I had had from from the Vedic tradition, from the modern mindfulness world, and from India, and from the Zen Buddhist tradition. And of course, I also was inspired by the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And of course, living in Sedona, a little new age stuff, which actually some of it has its roots in ancient wisdom and yoga. But in general, I think it was the call of my meditation students. You're going to have them too. And eventually they're going to say, okay, I got this. I want to do more. I want to teach my friends, my family. I want to bring it into the hospital, into my workplace. I bring it to my church, into the library. And one of the assignments, and I'm just going to get back to your question, but one of the assignments that the students have to do is find a local meditation group or teacher in their area. And though it was kind of more popular years ago, it seems like there aren't as many now, and not as many who are really serious about meditation. You're going to find a lot of loud marketers out there that are going to make it seem like you've got to take this class. It's the best class. And I find that they come and go, and the real dedicated teachers are here for the long haul. This is not a flash in the pan. This is really something my whole life is devoted to. So really the students were looking for a real program, one that they could feel like their lives are transforming. And I think one of the most important things I was saying to my husband this morning, who's a big meditator, when we know we can transform and we experience the ability to transform, it also gives us it allows for us to give the space to people that we hope will transform to transform. Like, not everybody's the same all the time. And it gives me hope for changes of heart and for people to find who they really are. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but to witness the ways in which people shine after getting rid of the stressors that sort of veil their true nature of who they are, this beautiful, shiny, inspired person, after seeing people facing those self-limiting beliefs and finding out who they are and then living that way, I know it's possible for everybody. And I think meditation is a key, and it's not just relaxation, although you have to kind of get relaxed in order to meditate. It's not just daydreaming, although you could on purpose use your imagination to create a better, more inspiring outlook on life. But meditation is literally a change of state. It's like a new state of consciousness. It's not waking, dreaming, or sleeping. It's a transcendental type state of consciousness where your physiology settles down, just like sleeping, but your awareness is clear and present. And this over time, as you go in and out of that state of consciousness with meditation, you become affected by the peace and by the expansion and by the presence that you experience when you're sitting on your chair or cushion in the morning. So, if you have a meditation practice you like or you want to deepen, this is a good place to start. And I wanted to ask you, Danita, did you find it changed your practice, your life? I know it changed your life, but did it change your practice?
100%. It totally changed my practice. I wake up in the morning now, and the first thing that I do, we call it, what do we call it? Rise, pee, meditate.
RPM?
So, yes, exactly. So I immediately go back to my bed and prop up my pillows and close my eyes and spend at least 20 minutes in meditation. And of course, meditation is not meant to be perfect. None of us are perfect at it, and that's part of the beauty of it is learning that we can imperfectly find our perfect meditation. And the way that it has changed how I show up in the world is is completely different. I'm able to be centered. I'm able to be divinely connected. I'm able to feel less insecure, go out into the world and really smile at people and just be available to spread that sense of peace, which I've created first thing in the morning. And twice a day is really recommended. I was always a meditator, but it was way more haphazard and much less. Well, now it's a committed practice. It's a committed practice that I I crave it. I really want to be in meditation. It lets me just be a better me.
Beautiful.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
I look at meditation a lot like brushing my teeth. I do it every day. I'm not looking for a fabulous experience each and every time. But if I go through the day without it, I know, and maybe other people might know or notice. And so I can find that meditation helps me to refresh my browser. Even when things are crazy out there, I've established a center point of peace. I know who I am. I know what I'm committed to. Yeah, I'm a human being, so I make mistakes, but I also have access to self-compassion and learn how to work with those s- being disturbed, let's say, because I think it was Ram Dass who said, "You think you're enlightened, but go spend a weekend with your family and see if that's true." And so I know that if I go do that, my resilience is so much stronger. We're born with a certain amount, but when you access some of these techniques and practices, you can really establish resilience in your nervous system. So I can tell you, I got a lot of emails recently from teachers who have graduated. I was checking in with them over the last, how many years? It's been 12 or 13 years of people going through the program. And I wanted to connect with some of them that, or all of them actually, that have been doing new things. And some of them have gone on to write books, keynote speakers, training in corporations. They're all getting awards for being pioneers. And some of them have started meditation programs in big health centers and cancer wards and all of these extremely important. Oh, one woman I just talked to works in colleges and helps athletes with their mindset. And it just would be surprised at the ways in which meditation is adopted in these various settings. So I just want to say before I take some questions, I see some people here who might want some to add some things. I just wanted to say that because you're here, and I appreciate you for being here, all of you. Because you're here, I wanted to say, we have a few more spaces, and I do have a marketing person who is on this call who told me you need to do a webinar. So thank you, Barbara. So if you're here and you want to apply, you get to save $400 on it. We did have an early registration, which has come and gone, but you can save $400 if you apply by April 14th. You're also going to get a little guide called The Art of, what's it called? Guiding the Best Meditations. And I would love it if you're feeling called, and it is a calling. It's like a little nudge or a little tap on the shoulder that goes, "Hey, check it out. Maybe you can do this." Did you have any, what did it take for you, Danita, to do it besides not being able to register for the herbal program?
I mean, I think a big piece of it, Sarah, is was just I realized I had anxiety. And I've fought depression off and on my entire life, but I never ever really considered that I had anxiety. And I told you I had that download where I literally woke up in the morning and knew this was the program. But being able to learn how to meditate consistently has just, I don't have anxiety. I don't feel anxiety. My blood pressure is lower. And if I have that little voice of depression come up, I go within and it's quieted. So I think I really do when you ask that question, it made me think about, yeah, I really didn't want to be a person living in the world at the mercy of the spinning. I wanted to come home to my center.
Right. Well, I don't know if you remember this, but gosh, it must have been 10, it must have been 20 years ago. I don't know, but there was um, whispers of the government in America here in the United States opening up the Department of Peace.
Mhm.
And I was excited, but then I realized that was going nowhere fast, this Department of Peace. And it's really because you can't legislate peace. You can legislate war, but you can't legislate peace. And I know at this point in time, governments all over the world are making people nuts, and that's fine. They always will. And what I wanted to say is I read this poem or whatever it was, a phrase or something that Lao Tzu wrote early, what, 13th century philosopher. I probably have that wrong, but he wrote the Tao Te Ching. And he said, in order to have peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. In order to have peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. In order to have peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. In order to have peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. In order to have peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. And so I realized
Mm.
that it's my personal responsibility to have peace in my heart and to wake up every day with that as, for me, primary. It's primary, it's essential. And
Yes.
that's the reason I do what I do is I know if I have peace in the heart and then you have peace in the heart and everybody makes that their responsibility, we can have a beautiful, peaceful world and existence together.
Hmm.
So thank you for being a part of this today. I'm going to put a link here in case you're interested in finding out about the program. I'm going to send you, anyone who's here, this recording as well as the guide. And if you want to know the meeting schedule, I think you might. It's right here because we meet often. And every time we meet, it's going to be recorded. So, except for the intensive, and I do record that so you can see yourself as you shine. But these are the schedules. This is the information. I would encourage you to apply. Generally, the average size is anywhere between of the classes is anywhere between 10 and 24. I've taught all kinds of classes like that. And it is a powerful way to walk in the world. That's what I can tell you. And I hope you have an opportunity to take the class, to study with us. We have a beautiful group of people that are going to be supporting you. And I can't wait to meet you. So thank you. So I'm going to stop the webinar now. But for those of you who are here, I'd love to answer your questions. So I'm going to stop this.